And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put on Waivers podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. It's San Diego. It's beautiful out here, Southern California. You know how it is. You know how it is. We have a special guest today, Sara Hodges from CBS 13 up there in Northern California in Sacremento. How you doing up there?
It's not always sunny in Sacramento.
It really is.
It kind of is. It's a bit colder, but I would say that you definitely have us beat weather-wise.
Weather-wise, we do. And you can catch with this. It's Sara Talk Sports on Instagram as well if you want to follow you there. So they can follow you there as well. So first of all, you're a woman in a male-dominated field, and I'm sure you've been asked this question 20 million times. So let me be the 20 millionth person to ask you. What made you say, hey, you wanted to go into this field, and have you had any issues with it? Any roadblocks?
Yeah. Okay. So what made me want to get into the field is because I grew up with all brothers. So I was watching sports my whole life. We were playing sports. My family is super competitive, and I just obviously loved it. Like, I love the competitiveness. I love playing. Basketball is my number one sport. I fell in love with it. And I thought, one day I would be a coach, I would teach, and I would stay involved in the sport by doing that. Well, then one day I was taking a flight and a layover, sat down, was talking to this gentleman, and he was asking me what I wanted to do. And I was telling him, like, I'm just getting through general ed right now, but this is what I think. And he said, you know what? You should become a sports broadcaster. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
All made sense. And
yes, it did.
I've been working my butt off, and I've been moving across the country and saying bye and hello and see you later to my family for 8 years. And now I'm here in Sacktown, almost back home.
Yeah, almost there. Right.
Yep.
That's a cool story, and I know a lot of people are. I was the oldest and I had two sisters, and they're really big football fans. So I'm a Raider fan. They're Colts and Steelers. So I know
that's different.
That's different. Well, we had I'm from Jamaican descent, and so is Dwight Freeney's family. So we knew the father, and we kind of. That's how they kind of got into it. But then me, hours and hours watching football, they were forced. They were forced. And if we're not playing each other, then we also want to root for each other's teams as well. You see the shirt I got on. I mean,
show.
You know how it goes. You know how we do. With all the Clipper talk, I think this is the reason why it felt so good, because you had Kawhi being 007 in free agency, faking like he was coming to the Lakers and went to the Clippers and got Paul George. All the doubters, like everybody who's supposed to pay, who's supposed to be paid to know basketball, saying that the Lakers aren't deep enough, LeBron can't do it, AD can't do this. How satisfying was it to see them hoist, or so they haven't hoisted yet, but to see them grab that 17th banner?
I mean, it was everything, and especially in a year where there was so much uncertainty, the year that Kobe had passed. I mean, it felt so good for more reasons than just proving people wrong and having another championship. It was, to me, this year was so much for Kobe and the legacy he left, and the mourning of his fans and his family and of LA. It just felt like it was our year. After that, to me, I was like, it's over. Like, we're going to win, because I know LeBron James. I know he's going to turn it on. And when LeBron James turns it on, nobody can stop him. Yep. We can say what we want about him being in the East. He still had to face teams in the West, and he still won championships in the East. Obviously, the road getting there probably wasn't as difficult. I think we can all agree to that. But he's just a freak. He's an alien. He is from another planet. His work ethic is like no other. It's so impressive. That's one of the things that I love about him the most, because I think some people, just assume like, oh, you have talent and you just get there and that's just it. It's, oh, you're LeBron James. It's like, but do you know what it took to become LeBron James? Do you know what went into that? A lot. And not everybody can do it, because not everybody's going to have that mindset of LeBron James. So I'm just happy he's on the Lakers. I would rather him be with us than anywhere else.
Yeah, of course. No question about it. Yeah. And I think that you talk about the work they put in. It's interesting because like I think people see you on TV and they'll say, oh, she's on TV. It's not that you didn't work towards it. Like, I have a lot of friends who are into acting and a couple of them are on a couple of Amazon shows. And like people see me now and like, okay, yeah, but like they don't realize how many no's and auditions and stuff you got to go through. So him and AD put in a lot of work. I don't know where you were when AD hit the game-winning shot against Denver in Game 4, but that was my first.
I know exactly where I was.
I know we were all home probably.
No, I was at work.
You was at work that day, probably.
Yeah, I was at work.
Yeah, and I was going nuts, and that was my first noise complaint in my apartment complex because I couldn't. I was going crazy. I was playing Dre and Snoop the rest of the night. I didn't care because I knew that was his Kobe moment, and I felt like that as soon as that shot went in, it was like we got the championship.
It was destiny.
It was destiny.
I was screaming. I would have to like take a poll of everybody that I like work with because they have me right now. My coworker, my boss, and I can't be in the same room, so I have to edit like in edit bays where the editors edit rather than the sports office. And I was screaming, and everybody's like, "What happened?" Like, it's just funny. I mean, that's me every Sunday watching the games. They're used to it by now, but dude,
it was
exactly where I was.
And it was,
just about to leave to go eat. I was waiting for the game to finish. I was standing because I was waiting to go get food. I was so hungry, but I was like, I have to watch the end of this.
Yeah, that was crazy. I actually fear Denver more than anybody else in the West after they beat the Clippers. So that was kind of interesting as far as that goes. I think after they beat the Clippers, and I was like seeing how the Joker is a pretty good player too, so he's hard to deal with. So that was, I think somebody said something on Instagram to me where it was people in the streets yelling Kobe's name after they won it. That was kind of chilling because I know he would have loved to be around for that one.
Absolutely.
The Lakers offseason, I think they had a great offseason. Obviously, who was your favorite acquisition? For me, is Dennis Schroeder. He had a little. I want to get the little blonde streak again. But anybody who you love out of the guys they picked up?
Montrezl Harrell.
Oh
yeah. I mean, to me, solidified. You just put the stamp on it. We're the best defensive team in the NBA. We just got stronger in the paint. Yeah. I was sad to see Dwight leave, but then after I was like, Dwight who? No, just kidding.
Dwight had his moments.
I mean, I was just such a fan even when he was on the Clippers, believe it or not. I mean, it's easy for me to be a fan of any team, even if it's a rival. But to me, Clippers aren't really a rival. Like, until you do something, like, we're really not paying attention to you. That's what I try to tell fans. Like, nobody in LA realizes that this is really a thing. Like, I'm just gonna like, we don't even think about the Kings. Like, say I love the Kings, love covering them. They're a great organization. I root for them. You know, the players on the team are great, and I've had such great experience. But sorry, y'all, like nobody in LA really thinks about it. But yeah, no, Montrez is just. I loved watching him when he would come to Sacramento. I mean, he had his way with the Kings, and he's just so dominant, like, and so much heart. Like, I love dudes that have heart, like. And you can just see it radiating from them, you know, and he's just one of those guys. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Him in the paint, he'll do all the dirty work that AD, if AD has a night off, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to help them a whole lot. You mentioned the Kings, and, you know, listen, the last time I heard from the Kings, that was the 7-game series that Michael Bibby and company lost a long time ago. How is it covering that kind of hometown team where, you know, it's a struggle for them in California because, you know, everybody has got a little burn with the media, with positive media, except for the Kings.
You feel it for the fans, like you do. You feel it. You feel like you're talking about the drought and just like kind of what
exactly.
Like you feel it for the fans, you know, because they're such loyal fans and they're such. I mean, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm a Lakers fan. I go to Lakers games. Like, Kings games are way more lit. Like, the fans just, it's the only show for the most part. You know, you have some semi teams, but it's the only show, and they love their king so much. And you hate it for them. You hate it for the players because obviously they put in so much work. But I think that you're just hopeful. Like in covering a team like that, you're just hopeful. You're hopeful that this year that the moves that they made are going to be the moves that, you know, elevate them. Now, obviously they're in the West, and the West is just so stacked. It's so tough, but why can't this be their year?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just interesting to see how that. I know for me, growing up, I grew up in Connecticut, and the Hartford Whalers before they went to Carolina. It was lit. It was fun to go to a hockey game. My father used to always get I wasn't even a big hockey fan, but the games were incredible. Hockey's more you see it in person, and it was really fun because it was the only game in town in a small state like Connecticut.
When I was in Alabama, we covered Huntsville Havoc, and so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It is blessed. You see the guy behind me. So Raider Nation is in the building. We also do the Cover 3 Deep Raider podcast. So
I'm gonna try to do his eyes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The void that they left in the Bay Area. I know that's where the Raider Nation was born. Can you talk about like maybe for the fans' perspective? Are you guys still talking about the Raiders in the media? But people still really feel passionate about that.
Oh my gosh. It's Raider Nation for life. It's Raider Nation, even Las Vegas Raider Nation. It's Raider Nation. Like when I covered, so I got the privilege of covering them in their final season in Oakland. Never in my wildest dreams when I was a little girl did I think like that was going to be, but just what a treat. And the fans were amazing. It was a little bit sad there at the end, especially just because of the way the season ended. Yeah. Like we were just on set, you know, we were thinking the playoffs, and then all of a sudden dumpster dive. And I mean, at the last game in Oakland, like fans were like throwing bottles at Derek Carr. I mean, it was getting nutty. Like I was trying to do my lives, and I'm just and I'm like, okay, this is just too much. And that respect, I just think that's too much. I think Derek Carr really gave everything that he had. I think that there was some adjustments that he needed to make. And now I think with the leadership of John Gruden, he's been making those adjustments. We're clearly seeing it this season. Yeah. Just to answer your question, it was really sad, but I think fans can overlook that if the Raiders get it together. Yeah. Because then we have another thing to be proud of, right?
It's true.
Like, we're not just sitting here like, oh, they left and they suck again. Yeah. It's like they left, they have a new stadium. We're going to get there next season. They're good. Derek Carr's looking good. We can sort of see the Khalil Mack trade, the Amari Cooper. We can sort of see that now making sense, even though it was just so hard for us to wrap our heads around that before. Mm-hmm. I think that if they're playing well, then all is forgiven.
Yeah. And it's not impossible Bay Area till Vegas as well too. So once hopefully when it's a thing again, we can actually go to stadiums. That would be kind of cool to see. And I mean, hopefully that this team can. I think last week was a miracle, but it was a miracle. I've seen that game before for the Raiders for a decade now, and I've seen them lose that game. So
150%. Last season, we would have lost that game.
Oh, no question.
It would not have been as clutch. And what I love like the most right now is Derek Carr and Rodney Hudson, just like that relationship. And like, we're just seeing it more now than we ever did before because they were crap before. So nobody cared about that storyline. Yeah. And now that storyline is just like, it's making us feel, you know what I mean? There's no way that would have happened before. Super impressed with Henry Ruggs. Like, obviously we all knew he was going to be a baller. It was just like a matter of time. And I think that like just the adversity, the injury, the COVID crap that's going on, all of that. And then, you know, he's able to make mistakes and then shake them and then pull off a walk-off like that. Like, come on, this is exactly what we're going to see out of him for years to come.
And as a guy who have fought people on Twitter and Instagram about Derek, won in Kansas City, couldn't win in the cold, couldn't throw deep, Like if you watch the games, he's checking off every box, and I hope the box
Yes,
that
sir.
he finally checks off this year, because it's in their hands. If they beat the Colts and beat the Dolphins, I think they'll be able to on their way to the playoffs.
The Colts is going to be a tough one. I'm worried about that game.
That's gonna be a game. That's gonna.
I'm not gonna lie.
I've told people that this is good. This is gonna be the best game on Sunday.
Colts are no joke.
The Colts are no joke. Their offensive line they have some left tackle issues. So hopefully Keelan Farrell and Max Crosby can get things going with the pass rush. But we have our old friend Phillip Rivers coming to town again. So hopefully he can find Eric Harris.
Easy
again.
money. Easy money.
Easy money as far as that goes. So in the other Bay Area, every other team, the Niners. I have a simple question because I feel like that organization knows what they're doing.
Right.
They got destroyed with injuries. I mean, destroyed with injuries this year. They've actually played well despite that. Is Jimmy G going to be the quarterback next year? Because he can't stay on the field.
That's such a loaded question. I don't know. I don't know. Like I really, if I were to guess, here's the thing. I finally see Nick Mullins like turning into the quarterback he can be. Like the last game, even though they lost against the Bills, like he looked as good as I've ever seen him. I think he's gonna be. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but you're right. Like he can't stay healthy, and the amount of money that he's getting paid, it's just I don't know. That's a tough one. They're better with Jimmy G in.
Oh, no question. But I'm not. Yeah. It's not his ability. I'm questioning because he can play. No question about it.
I don't know.
They're 22-8 with him at quarterback, so he definitely can play. So we'll have to see what happens as far as that goes.
I would say if I were to bet my money on it, I would say he will be. But from what you're hearing from Kyle Shanahan, like he's gonna be.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, right? Like they're thinking about next game, and that's Nick Mullins is under center. So stop asking us questions about a guy who right now isn't healthy enough to play when I can't even focus my attention on that right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So
to see what happens as far as that goes. So we're gonna leave you here with a high five of questions. It's high five. We call it the high five. It's 5 questions. You answer it. Don't be scared. Real quick answers. We'll throw some dramatic music behind it later on. Here we go. So first one is the 4 major sports. If you had a chance to sit in the front row of any of them, what would it be?
That would be NBA.
NBA. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's easy.
That's easy. So you have a chance to you have to go on the MTV's The Challenge or Housewives of Sacremento. What show are you going on?
I've never seen the MTV's The Challenge.
Never seen The Challenge? Oh,
no, I'm the worst. I don't watch TV.
Because you're working TV, that's why. Everybody
I'm too busy.
So it's like it's kind of like a show where they have challenges. They have to jump from buildings and all that stuff like that.
Ooh, I'll do Housewives because I'm chilling, letting everybody else get crazy, trying to be their therapist through it.
Okay, there you go. Your favorite all-time athlete?
Because I ain't jumping off no buildings like that. Kobe.
Kobe Bryant. Gotta be Kobe. You took a trip. You took a trip to Spain, correct?
I've been so many places. Yeah, I've been to Spain.
Okay. If you could take one thing from their culture and bring it to America, what would it be?
Late night dining. Late night dining. Sacremento, can you hear me?
So like late night dining, like
9 p.m.
Like sit down and just like.
Oh my gosh, they're out at midnight with their kids eating.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I need all of that. I mean, I work late, so I'm in television.
Exactly.
I want a whole meal at midnight. Sit me down. Let me wine and dine me at midnight, please.
There you go. Last one is COVID is gone tomorrow. The first thing that Sara does. What first activity you get involved in?
Can I answer for real or not?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. First activity, like
anything. Like what's the first thing you're just?
I'm partying. I'm partying.
There you go.
I'm at a nightclub. I'm at any sort of club. I'm with my friends. I'm dancing. I'm drinking. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not worried about who's breathing on me. Every movie I watch now, I'm like, they don't have a mask on. Like, it's just like natural to think that. I'm like, what is going on with me? I can't see past. I can only watch movies since it's been filmed since COVID now, because like shooting like the whole time.
And think about, I mean, every time somebody can have allergies or something, or just have something stuck in their throat, but the minute somebody sneezes or coughs, you're like, oh my God, get away from me, get away from me. All right. Hey, Sara, thank you for joining us here on the Put on Waivers podcast and talking a little Raiders. So we will cover 3 Deep Raider podcast as well. Appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Keep up the good work. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.